Welcome to Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast of the Sons of the American Revolution. Like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast in your favorite application. You can also follow our podcast at fastfunhistory.com. For education resources provided by the National Society Sons of the American Revolution, go to education.sar.org. And now, Revolutionary War Rarities.
The Myths of July the 4th, Season 2 of Revolutionary War Rarities. Hi, everyone, and we welcome you to Season 2 of Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maple.
And we are once again shooting today's episode from the Constitution Hall Park, which is in downtown Huntsville. Constitution Hall Park is the location for the founding of the state of Alabama.
So
the Constitution was created, the state of Alabama. The Constitution was created in this spot, actually in this general area. We're in a location called the John Boardman home. John Boardman happened to be the only member of the press in the Huntsville area, or in North Alabama, I guess, at that time. So believe it or not, we had a constitutional convention for the state of Alabama that included one member of the press.
Okay.
I bet there's a lot of politicians who wish that was the case today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, Jim, today we're going to talk about some traditions of the 4th of July. And they have a funny way of merging with history. And somehow the history ends up changing because of those traditions.
Yes.
Or at least the stories of the history ends up changing based on those traditions. And such is certainly the case with the 4th of July. So I thought it might be fun as we approach this most patriotic of holidays to quash some of the myths, correct some of the history, and present some little-known facts about Independence Day.
Well, Jim, this should be fun. So let's take a look at it. First of all, what is the significance of the 4th of July? Well, the 4th of July is commonly celebrated as the date for the birth of the United States. But is that the correct day? Well, the answer is yes and no. The motion to declare independence was approved on July the 2nd, meaning that the decision to become a nation was made and approved July the 2nd. So shouldn't that be the day we celebrate, Jim?
Well, what you said is true, but the motion to declare independence was called the Lee Resolution.
Yes.
Okay, it was introduced by Richard Henry Lee from the state, or the colony of Virginia at that time. It was introduced to the Second Continental Congress on June 7th, not July the 2nd, and not July the 4th. However, a formal vote was not taken until July the 2nd because many representatives had not received formal direction from their colonies and required some time to communicate prior to casting such a critical vote. So, on July the 2nd, the vote was held on the Lee Resolution, and it passed with support of 12 of the 13 colonies. New York did not vote, as they had not received directions at that point. Now, the Lee Resolution passed, meaning that our independence was approved, and it passed on July the 2nd, meaning that our independence had been approved. However, the formal document called the Declaration of Independence had not yet been approved, meaning that we had not yet formally declared our independence to our foe, the British Empire.
So the Continental Congress had created a committee of 5 to document the reasons for independence, and the chair of that committee was a gentleman named Thomas Jefferson. So he took a swing at writing the document and spent about 3 weeks preparing the initial draft. It was presented to Congress for review, and they made, of course, a lot of changes. About 86 changes to be exact. Anyway, the Declaration of Independence was ratified, approved on July the 4th, 1776. And that has become the date we celebrate. However, the country is technically 2 days older, having been born on July the 2nd, 1776.
And the Declaration of Independence was not signed on July the 4th. Actually, there are 2 names that appear on the Dunlap broadsides, And those two names that appear are John Hancock, the president of the Second Continental Congress, and Charles Thompson, who was the secretary of the Second Continental Congress. Most of the signatures occurred by around August the 2nd. So when did the British in London find out about the Declaration of Independence? Well, it wasn't until August 30th of 1776. And who had the beautiful handwriting that we see on the Declaration of Independence today? Well, it wasn't Thomas Jefferson. That isn't his handwriting. That handwriting belonged to Timothy Matlack.
Okay.
The Liberty Bell did not crack on July the 4th. There's a long and storied history of the Liberty Bell, so we would encourage you to go back to Season 1, Episode 9, entitled The Busted Bell, for more information on that. And the first public celebration of July the 4th by a president didn't occur until Thomas Jefferson did so in the White House in 1801.
Okay, well, Jim, celebrations of July the 4th began in 1777 in Philadelphia. Actually, celebrations began upon the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence on July the 8th, 1776. 1778, George Washington issued double rations of rum. And in 1781, Massachusetts became the first state to officially recognize July the 4th as a state holiday. And the 4th of July, Jim, did not become an official federal holiday until June the 28th, 1870. And it wasn't until 1941 that federal employees received a paid vacation day off.
There are no hidden maps and no encryptions or messages on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
I believe there is a note that says original copy of the Declaration of Independence. That's all it says. 3 presidents of the United States have died on July the 4th, and one was born on July the 4th. The one that we all know the most about is John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, having both died on July the 4th, but most people don't realize that James Monroe also died on July the 4th, and Calvin Coolidge was born on July 4th.
Okay. There are numerous patriotic holidays. These holidays include Memorial Day, Flag Day, Pearl Harbor Day, Veterans Day, Constitution Day, Patriot Day, and of course, Independence Day. The most widely celebrated patriotic holiday, Jim, by far is Independence Day.
There are many misunderstood and misinterpreted aspects of American history, but with time and study and energy and archaeology and fair interpretations of our founding fathers' writings and diaries of Revolutionary War soldiers, the stories become more clear. History is not easy, and sometimes history tells stories that you hoped would not exist, but yet the stories of history need to be told and taught, and most importantly, they need to be learned. The good, the bad, the ugly, even the parts you might want to forget, all of it. We cannot learn anything from history by trying to rewrite our history. And the only way that history can be the best early warning system that we have is if it is taught completely and accurately. So we at Revolutionary War Rarities and the Sons of the American Revolution work hard to ensure that our episodes include accurate history. But remember that we will never be able to teach complete history on any one of our given subjects in 8 to 10 minutes. So we always encourage each of you to study each of these subjects more thoroughly. Make sure to reference our show notes for more study material. And we wish you all a very happy Independence Day in 2024, our 248th birthday. Whether you celebrate it on July the 2nd or July the 4th, make sure you remember those patriots who risked everything for the freedom that you get to experience every day. And that, my friends, is a Revolutionary War rarity. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maples. And we thank you for joining us today. And please be sure to join us for the next episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. This has been a production of the National Society, Sons of the American Revolution, www.sar.org.